Really, we're putting the studio like in a roller coaster.
There's the pop. Yep.
Last year, our studio was hit by an earthquake so hard, our ceiling broke.
Oh my god. Dude.
And this was scary because it made us realize we don't actually know what to do in this type of situation. We literally live in a seismic hotspot and spend most of our time here in this building in downtown LA. But if the big one hits, are we doomed? In case you don't know, the big one is the anticipated rupture of the San Andreas Fault, which is expected to result in a catastrophic earthquake. If that happens, how much danger are we in? Is this whole building gonna collapse and bury us alive? Where can we even hide? What are we gonna do in that type of situation?
Hey Ren, come here. Earthquake got me thinking, and I found this channel called Earthquake Sim.
Nice, okay.
And this guy basically does physically based simulations of all different magnitudes, of all different cities, buildings.
Oh, and he's basing this on real seismic data too.
If we invited him in, he could recreate our studio.
Oh, like simulate our building during an earthquake? Yeah. Like what would happen if the earthquake that hit this building was the big one?
I would rather know the future, right? So we can know exactly where the safe places in the studio are. We know where collapses, where doesn't collapse. And then from that information, we can make a real safety plan for the crew.
Do we want to see that though? This could get dark.
I mean, this is life or death. There they are. What's up?
Hey, what are you doing?
What's up, man?
Welcome to Corridor.
I'm Michael. I'm the creator of Earthquake Sim. I started this journey 2 years ago.
I'm Victor. I'm a grad student at Caltech. I study earthquakes, and I definitely think more about the science aspect of the videos and how we make them physically accurate.
Michael and Victor are here to photograph, scan, and gather data on our studio so that they can simulate what would happen. But before we put in all of that work, I wanted to see if there are any Hollywood depictions of earthquakes that we could learn from instead. Has Hollywood ever shown us a realistic earthquake?
Oh my god.
Okay, so that earthquake lasted a while. Is that a realistic time frame for an earthquake?
Probably not. I mean, most likely not. Like, even if the big one hits, like the shaking in the LA area is estimated to be maybe 2 minutes. I mean, if the whole San Andreas breaks, like at Salton Sea, like to Cape Mendocino, that's like 800 miles.
But the chances of the whole thing breaking and rumbling is very, very low,
Yeah,
right?
it doesn't work like that.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, okay. So what could possibly cause something like that?
If you bring the moon closer to the Earth and you like all of a sudden get like a big gravitational pull, yeah, you would create something like this.
Yeah, a lot closer to
A lot closer, yeah, a lot.
We gotta get to the other side of the freeway.
If you're driving down the highway, how would you feel an earthquake like that? Like, would you actually feel it adjusting your driving?
Oh yes, I mean, imagine if like the ground goes 3-4 feet to the left and then 2-3 feet to the right, and then up and down. Like, it's not just horizontal motion.
Right. So here's a good example of a real earthquake happening. Oh, interesting. The motorcycles all turned at the same time and then turned back at the same time. On a scale of 0 to 10, how realistic is 2012 as far as destruction here in LA?
2.
Yeah,
A 2?
I would say a 2, yeah.
It's more than 0, okay. But to be fair, 2012 is essentially pure fantasy. But a movie like San Andreas is based on real science in that there's a San Andreas fault that could cause the big one. You're already sighing. Whoa, you could see the wave going through the ground and through the neighborhoods.
That's not a realistic speed though. Like,
Should it be faster or slower?
it should be faster.
A lot faster.
Like the wave would go through downtown LA in like 3 seconds.
Although surface waves do travel a little slower. Yeah, I would be more concerned about the scale of these waves than the speed they're moving at.
To me, it's at least maybe 10 times like exaggerated.
I would say so.
For example, for the Tohoku earthquake, which was a magnitude 9.0, 9.1, right? The maximum vertical displacement was 2 feet maximum, right?
Whereas here, they're showing it being like 30 feet, at least.
I'm a big fan of Apocalypse 10.5.
Well, look at that. It's cracking and then the water's flowing down into the crack. That's another thing we've seen a lot is like fissures opening up as if the whole ground is moving sideways, causing this huge cliff, a void into the abyss.
So if you think about a fault line, right? It's a plane that's always in stress. The reason it's not moving all the time is because there is some amount of contact and friction on the surfaces.
So what we're seeing here is basically the opposite of what would actually happen. It's the earthquakes are because it's pressing together so hard, but they're like, oh yeah. If it opens up, there wouldn't be a quake.
There wouldn't be any shear stresses to move the fault. There are places on Earth where tectonic plates are moving away from each other. These are mid-ocean ridges. That's where new oceanic plate is being created. As the plates move away from each other, new molten material is coming up. Because of that lowering of pressure, allows for new crust to be created.
So a 10.5 on the Richter scale, is that even possible? Okay, quick pause. Before we go any further, I think we need to just define what earthquake magnitude even means. It's basically a score given to every quake to indicate how powerful it is, as measured by a seismograph. And those are those little like pin things that scratch back and forth during an earthquake. However, quakes can range from tiny tremors you can barely feel to massive ruptures which release billions of times more energy. To keep things simple and not have to write so many zeros, we use the moment magnitude scale, which is logarithmic. It's a lot like the Richter scale we used to use. For every point higher on the scale, the shaking amplitude increases by a factor of 10, but the energy released increases by a factor of 32. From a magnitude 3 to a 7 is actually 10,000 times more motion and 1,000,000 times more energy. Even though it's 4 steps, it's not 4 times more powerful, it's 1,000,000 times more powerful. And that's why it's not really possible to have anything above a magnitude 10 earthquake, because it's simply not possible to store that much energy in any of the fault lines on Earth.
Unless a meteorite hits the planet.
All right, so it's apparent that Hollywood movies won't teach us much about how to actually survive an earthquake. I mean, I don't even have access to an airplane, let alone know how to fly one. So if we want to actually simulate our own earthquake here, we got to do a better, more realistic job than Hollywood. So we're going to capture all of the measurements and material data from our studio, but there's one more piece of information that we need the whole crew to help us with. We need to know where they would hide.
Earthquake! Earthquake!
We got 7 seconds to live!
7 seconds is not enough!
Earthquake!
It's not enough!
10 seconds!
If you do not have a spot in the next 3 seconds, find your spot. And 3, 2, 1, freeze! Wherever you are, this is where you're stuck. Dang it. I got too distracted announcing this. Now I'm stuck here.
Okay, while the crew tries to find the safest place in the studio, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about today's sponsor, Squarespace. This isn't a good spot, actually. There's a light right there. We gotta move. We gotta move!
That would crush you.
Okay, this is our sturdy, well-designed workbench here. And you know what else is well-designed? Squarespace's award-winning templates. You can get started with a professionally designed Squarespace website. They have styles for every kind of website, every kind of business, and you can customize your look, update your content, and with a bunch of styles to choose from, you're sure to find a template that fits your needs.
There's sort of a lot of saws and some flammable things right next to you.
Let's find another spot. The bathroom should work, because look, there's going to be a time where we have to rebuild. And when that time comes, with Squarespace, you can make an online store. The Squarespace commerce platform makes managing everything from inventory to sales and customers simple. You can showcase products, customize your product listings with images, videos, reviews, related products, and add-ons that help you make more sales. You know what? It actually kind of smells in here. Let's get out of here, man. Okay, this spot seems pretty smart. You know what else is smart? Squarespace's design intelligence. With design intelligence, you can use AI technology to create a beautiful, more personalized website tailored to your unique needs. Just follow the link in the description down below or go to squarespace.com/corridorcrew to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Okay, let's go see where everyone hid.
I mean, if I only had 10 seconds, this is where I'd go. If I had more than 10 seconds, I'd go outside.
I can handle if this hits me. I mean, this is pretty secure, see?
Okay, he's under some stuff. That's pretty good.
Matt's losing his head, dude.
All right.
I'm like right out here in the open. I don't have a feeling this is a good place to be. We have Griffin over there in the doorway to the bathroom.
We got Jordan Allen under.
Dude, the important thing is my organs are protected.
What about your legs?
You know what? I can live without them.
You could be turned into a nugget.
I'm pretty sure I'm directly over the sword wall. Yeah. By the way, if this floor gives way, I'm getting pierced.
I think I got 2 metal doors, Looks like brick and concrete.
I think this is a pretty solid spot right here. I mean, look at all this water. I've got at least 2 days worth.
Because like you always hear about these earthquake situations where people get trapped.
Yeah, everyone feel safer? Raise your hand if you think you survived the earthquake.
I got a pretty good feeling about this one.
I'm like pretty 50-50 on it, to be honest.
So with the earthquake drill concluded and each crew member's hiding places recorded, Michael is gonna go process all of this on his array of supercomputers using real-life seismic data from real earthquakes of all shapes and sizes. And while he does that, we wanted to find out more about our building's structural safety, and the only man who can tell us that is our landlord, Steve. What's up, Steve?
Earthquakes, yeah. Okay, since I've owned the building, which was like in 81, and we built out the studios in 82. Now, Los Angeles went through a major building boom in the 20s. And when I mean major, it went from like 150,000 people downtown to 1 million. People were throwing up masonry buildings. And this building, I believe, was built in 1924.
101 years old this building is.
Yeah, it was part of the building boom. And then Division 88 came about. We didn't have any choice. We had to hire a structural engineer that looked at the whole building, did a whole series of plans. Also had to have this earthquake guy come in and do this all around the building. Pull the brick out, test it here, test it there, test the front walls, back walls. Then they determine, based upon what the test is, what you're gonna have to do. And they want you to do what are called tie rods. Drill through the brick on the outside, and then they make you put a metal plate. And we had to do it a lot. It doesn't seem as much now, but it cost $56,000.
That's a lot. I mean, that's a lot now.
Then, a couple years goes by, and Division 88 started to realize that a lot of buildings have, on the rooftop, have parapets, where the wall goes up about a foot, sometimes 3 feet above the roof line. Well, a lot of those parapets in earthquakes were starting to actually give way and fall out.
Is that why you installed those like diagonal brackets
Those
up
are called
there?
parapet bracing. They had to re-drill new holes. We had to spend about another $50,000.
Oh my God.
That's what we said too. Trust me, it was a little more graphic. You see all this parapet bracing? That was phase 2. Then came the Whittier Narrows earthquake, because I remember I was in my home in Echo Park, and my son, less than a year old, crawling across the floor early in the morning, and as he's walking toward me, I just watched my entire house do this, like move a foot from side to side. Picked him up like a football. Shit's falling all over the place. Ran up into the backyard holding him, and after things settled down, I then jumped in the car, came over here. Nada. Nothing.
Really?
I know, I was shocked.
Paid for,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, I mean, I'd hope nothing.
Nothing. No cracks, fallen out walls, no parapets fell out. Yeah, and I was kind of really surprised.
That makes me feel a little bit better, honestly.
That was a 5.9 earthquake. So Steve's pretty confident that this building will hold up, and I remain pretty optimistic because for the last week, Michael has been rebuilding our studio brick by brick, and today he's here to show us what he's made. Oh, there we go.
So this is this is a big diorama that has
Dude, that's our studio.
27,000 objects, right?
I'm very curious to see how the sausage is made here. Like, how are you actually simulating this earthquake? What software are you using?
It's called Bullet Constraints Builder. It's a plugin for Blender 2.79. Basically, they were trying to like have some sort of a software that you would simulate, like if a building collapses, where you would get like air pockets, so that first responders would, you know, focus on searching survivors in those spots.
So I'm very curious. You took all these measurements of the building, and you're actually putting in all those parameters here in the software. I'm just curious, like, where?
So I just like use real size dimensions, right, for like whatever I build virtually, right? I mean, it's kind of easy, like when you're dealing with bricks, sometimes, you know, you copy paste, you know. I have to put that object into a group, then I use the plugin and I assign, hey, for this type of objects, the objects that belong to this group, like I'm setting these parameters. Now I can give them all sorts of properties, right? Like breaking thresholds. There's some default parameters, like there's like reinforced concrete, there's like wood beams, there's welded steel, there's screwed steel, all sorts of, you know, like stuff that you would get in reality. So it's kind of like just building a like diorama.
Piece by piece, item by item of this entire studio simulated its density, its strength, its friction between each other, and then just ran it. Overall, it's just a big, giant, rigid body simulation.
That's correct.
And the actual shakiness is derived from real data.
Yes, for example, right here, I can create an artificial earthquake, like I'd have whatever amplitude, duration, frequency of earthquake, but then I can select a CSV file that basically contains the seismic data of a seismic station that recorded a previous event.
So how exactly is that data getting implemented into the simulation? Are you just taking like the ground plane?
Yeah, so what I'm doing is, like, if I zoom out over here, you see this like beige kind of color.
So that's like the
So
foundation.
that's the foundation. So it's applying those ground motions.
An earthquake is literally just the ground moving in XYZ space, just like it's moving around, and you've taken that motion capture data of an earthquake and put it on this ground plane that everything else is now attached to, and you're just hitting simulate.
Yeah, the beauty is that everything is connected. Like, I can see there's like at least like 3 million constraints being built.
Okay, wow.
Which is a lot. I mean, like...
I'm honestly a bit nervous, but there's nothing left to do but to show the crew the results. Michael even recorded each crew member's hiding position from our drill and added us into the simulation, making this extra personal.
How accurate are these simulations? Have you like tested this against real world materials before?
I think the true value of models and simulations is the way you interpret the data and figure out what would be like one place in the studio that would be the safest.
It's kind of weird because we already know the answer. It's the kitchen table. Like, I don't know why we even needed to go through all this. It's going to be proven, so.
Okay, so the first earthquake that I simulated is the one that most of you felt last year in August. It was just a 4.4, but the fact that it happened right underneath you, like there was some damage in the studio, right? You got some like falling pieces of plaster. Well, let's see what happens.
It's almost 1-to-1.
I didn't do any kind of manual tweaking. Like I literally said, hey, the ceiling should be a little bit weaker than the bricks around it. Basically used the data from a seismic station that's like not even a mile away from you. So the shaking is pretty accurate. We're going from 0.1 G, what you saw before, to 0.5 G. So that's 5 times bigger acceleration.
Oh, this is not
Griffin's
fun.
dead.
We're not having a good time here. This Smash game up at the top being played?
There is a 90% chance we're playing Smash when one of these earthquakes hits.
True, yeah. Oh, we're good though. We're good. That's not Ren's dead.
Your hand.
It's my left hand, it's fine, I don't even need it.
So glad I wore clothes, though.
Is that a shadow, or did you actually model cheeks in there?
That's Rick, and I'm caked up, dude. Caked up, ready for the big one. I feel like everyone's making it out of this, except for Ren outside.
That's a good place.
Rip.
Sorry, isn't this incredibly frightening?
The freaky part is that it's literally where we're standing right now, and we're seeing. I actually can it's visceral. I can feel it.
If you guys become more familiarized with what an earthquake really does to the ground, maybe that would make you feel more, hey, I know what to expect. No, it shouldn't be that bad.
So this is the most accurate big one simulation for us here.
2 years ago in 2023, there was a big earthquake, the Turkey-Syria earthquake. It was a 7.8. I basically used the data from a seismic station that was about 50 miles away from the fault rupture, right? So we should be getting pretty much to like how a 7.8 would feel. This is just 0.3 G, but the difference is that there's a lot more momentum. Almost like you're in a big boat, big waves during a storm. So that's how the earthquake, the big one, would feel like. Really, we're putting the studio like in a roller coaster.
I'm right here. I'm good. That's me right there. No, I'm fine. I'm still, look, it's not crushed.
Yo, this smash area is still perfect. It's pristine, guys.
Yeah, that's bad. You're still alive. You're still alive.
So Nick, you actually survived here because you were laying next to the couch. You did survive.
Yo, it's the triangle of safety, dude. You just lay as flat as a worm along something that's taller than you and you're safe.
First and foremost, I can see one thing. These arched vaulted ceilings here are really tough. That big flat finished ceiling out there does not have like any stability once things start wiggling.
I love that every single piece of evidence that's coming to light is encouraging the theory that we should play more Smash. Every video is making a stronger case that we should just stay in here for a while.
Even if it's the lightest earthquake, I am booking it out of Studio 3.
Yeah.
It just looks like it's ready to go.
Trying to keep your balance while running or through that type of environment with the floor moving, it's like it's gonna be impossible.
Again, this is like a worst case scenario. Like this kind of motion would be expected maybe in the next 500 years. I really feel like that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, is uploading this video just the world's biggest jinx?
We jinxed the big one.
We jinxed the big one.
Sorry guys, we caused the big one.
Just the thumbnail's like, oops.
Yeah. So where is the safest place in the studio?
Truly in the center of the building, like by the walls and support beams and everything. It's just like anything that's like doing this strongly is what you want to be under.
The other silver lining is that on two sides, your studio has adjacent buildings. And it's been like noticed like in big earthquakes, like in Asia, for example. They had weak buildings, but the fact that they were really hugging each other, it made them stand and not collapse. So
what happens with LA's freshwater supply when there's a big earthquake?
it's like a really big issue. I don't even know like how it's gonna be solved. Because like when the San Andreas fault breaks, like that would create an offset of about 20, 30 feet. So any kind of infrastructure that passes the San Andreas fault is going to be just like cut in two, right?
So LA would theoretically just be without fresh water.
Without fresh water, without food supplies. That's just so many people here. Like it would be really, really recommended to have water supplies and food supplies so that you don't have to rely, you know, just waiting for a week.
Michael, I think you've made us safer here. We're now more aware. We're more knowledgeable about what could happen.
I think we might need to come up with like a morbid name instead of saying, oh, the studio floor. We should be like, this is like the crush zone.
I mean, after watching all of these simulations, the thing that I've had to come to terms with is the fact that if the big one actually does hit, it's going to be destructive. There's going to be damage everywhere, and we don't know the extent to how bad it could be. So the best thing you can do is be mindful of how you can be prepared. Do you have enough water and rations to survive the aftermath until you can get help? Do you know where in your house you can be that will be the most stable? Do you have an emergency plan for after all of this stuff goes down? It's never a bad thing to know more. And now after all this, I do feel a little bit more prepared. I'd be very interested to read all of your emergency preparedness tips. What do you guys have that you think could be really useful for other people to know? And again, huge thanks to Michael and Victor from Earthquake Sim for helping us simulate this building. Check out the full Corridor Studios simulation on their channel. That video is linked right here. Thanks for watching. And now I'm just gonna sit here and wait for the big one. I might be here a while though. It could be tomorrow. It could be 1,000 years from now. But I will stand here until then.